on the banks of the Mississippi at Busch Stadium, and this afternoon it's day baseball. The St. Louis Cardinals playing host to the Washington Nationals. Wild card elimination numbers, and the Dodgers at 3. Milwaukee, simply put, they have to win out. The Cardinals have to lose every game remaining for them to get in. And welcome to Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest. That's Al Hrabowski. I'm Dan McLaughlin. The Cardinals turn to Lance Lynn, who's back in the rotation here, Al. In the last 3 starts, he's been very good.
He really has been. Dan, he's won his last 3 starts. He has an ERA under 1. He's back where he likes it in that starting rotation, and the Cardinals are going to rely heavily on the big right-hander.
Cardinals, for whatever reason, do not play well in extra inning games. We saw that last night, and you do wonder a little bit about the carryover effect here this afternoon.
Well, this team has been so resilient. I don't worry about that. I think they're going to come out here prepared to play and prepared to win this game. You win this game, and then you take care of your own business.
All right, we'll talk about those other teams and what they have this afternoon when we come back. Big crowd expected. It's the Cardinals and Nationals, Game 3 this afternoon. Home of the Redbirds, Fox Sports Midwest. We're at Busch Stadium, the Washington Nationals and the St. Louis Cardinals. Meanwhile, the teams that are chasing St. Louis, Milwaukee, and L.A. This is what they have this afternoon. We'll be keeping an eye on this throughout the telecast. Mike Fiers getting the start for the Brewers. He's had a tremendous season, the rookie, and the right-hander for the Dodgers, not so much. Josh Beckett at 6-14. What stands out for you, Al, as you look at Milwaukee and L.A.?
Well, what stands out is the fact that I think Milwaukee is going to defeat Houston, and the same with the Dodgers over Colorado. It's quite simple. The Cardinals have to do it themselves. They cannot look for help from other ball clubs. They have to win 3 more games, and then they can take care of their own business.
We step aside. When we come back, it's up for grabs. You come to the ballpark, pay attention. Flying bats and balls. Tell you what we mean next. Go the rubber game between St. Louis and Washington. Another edition. Be watching today. It's up for grabs.
Great foul. Battle in the stands is just as intense. Nice two-handed grab.
Terrific catch made by a fan.
It's a couple of rows up.
Brought his glove. Paid off.
Ball bounces into the stands. Forget about this one. Gone.
It's a foul ball and will carry into the stands.
We'll have a play. It's in the seats.
There's the enthusiasm we're looking for. But a nice catch made by a fan in the second row.
He kept the beer in his mouth and made the play.
Of the new book, One Last Strike, at the team store today. To get to that championship a year ago, it was Lance Lynn out of the bullpen. This afternoon, he'll make a start. Cardinal fans hoping for success again in 2012. They're filing in as we speak. Baseball next. Midwest is brought to you by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. By your Mid-America Chevy dealers, the #1 selling brand in St. Louis. Find us at stlchevy.com. By Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers, #1 for quality tires and expert auto service. And by Steak and Shake. Steak and Shake, just no equal. About 10 minutes ago, before our first pitch here this afternoon, it was a tribute to Vietnam veterans. Very emotional ceremony, some of them prisoners of war. They were honored before the game along with their families. And to all our military, if you're tuned in today, thank you for what you do. Let's take a look at the Washington Nationals and their lineup. For Davey Johnson, it's Jason Worth and Bryce Harper. Ryan Zimmerman here in the first. Adam LaRoche, Michael Morse, Ian Desmond, Danny Espinosa. Kurt Suzuki had the big hit last night in extra innings. And the pitcher, St. Louisan Ross Detweiler. And for the Cardinals, they'll counter with our Enterprise Bank and Trust starter. Back in the starting rotation, number 31, that's Lance Lynn.
Lance Lynn leads the team with his 17 wins. That's fourth best in the National League. It's been a very good learning experience for him, a National League All-Star berth. But it's all about how you finish. And the Cardinals are relying heavily on him to give them a quality start and better.
Not done yet for both these teams. Washington trying to wrap up the Eastern Division. The Cardinals trying to wrap up a spot for the second wild card. It's Holiday, Jay, and Beltran in the outfield. Freese, Cosma, Descalso, Craig along the infield. And behind the plate, Yadier Molina. That's presented by Dobbs, and it's good to see that David Freese, the ankle is healthy enough. It's still sore, but healthy enough to play on the left side, and he will play alongside Pete Cosma. What a game he had last night.
Made a very nice defensive play. It was a real gem, and then he had 3 hits, and he continues to get these late season RBIs. Very clutch last night.
Saw Matt Carpenter make the start at third base last night, and Freese is in there. Freese drew a walk as a pinch hitter last night. Cardinals fell in extra innings, and this season, Mike Matheny's club, very disappointing. 6-12 in extra inning games this year.
Yeah, it just really is a reflection of the bullpen. Of course, he saw Mujica, Boggs, and Mott do the job yesterday, but once it got into extra innings, you had to go to a secondary reliever. That was Salas and Friedman, and they had their problems. But today is a different story, Dan. We're going to win it in regulation. How about an 8.5 inning game?
I'd like to see that. Nice crowd on hand. Beautiful day for baseball. Lance Lynn and the Cardinals playing here in game number 3 against Washington. Jason Worth will lead it off. He's hitting .299. Not the prototypical leadoff man. 5 home runs, 31 RBIs in what has been an injury-plagued season again for Jason Worth. He's dealt with all kinds of injuries in his career, in particular to his wrists.
He was not even brought off the DL until August the 2nd. That's when his season started.
To me, Alan, I'm sure for a lot that follow this club day in and day out, the fastball and the command of it early on for Lance Lynn a real key.
And remember, he's had troubles in the first inning, so really got to bear down, come out of that bullpen, throwing strikes and quality pitches.
A little bit high. The home plate umpire is Chris Guccione. Jeff Nelson, the crew chief, is at first. Bill Welke at second, and Corey Blazer is down at third. Here's a 1-2 pitch to Jason Worth, and he lines it into left center field. Extra bases for Worth on his way to second. The Nationals have scored in the first innings of both these games. Now they have a man in scoring position here in Jason Worth.
Mentioned Lance Lynn had trouble in the first inning. This pitch a little bit too much of the plate, right in the middle of the plate, up. And Jason Worth, in one sense, you're lucky he didn't hit it out. How about Bryce Harper and what he's done against Cardinal pitching?
What he's done overall is at .269 his average. 21 homers. He's driven in 58. See, those first innings have been problems at times for Lance Lynn. Lance Lynn, in his last 3 starts, though, 19 1/3 innings, only 2 earned runs.
He's very much aware of the first inning problem, but just how do you correct it? You throw extra in the bullpen. Just go back to the mentality of get as many outs as you possibly can. Don't try and save something for later in the game. Just attack the strike zone.
We'll see Cincinnati tomorrow. And Johnny Cueto is pitching at Pittsburgh today. Wandy Rodriguez, the lefty, going for them. They're celebrating 40th anniversary of Roberto Clemente's 3,000th hit. As we take a look at the delivery here of Lance Lynn.
Well, he's simplified it a little bit since coming back to the rotation, not lifting the ball over his head. Get it and, really kind of simplify, really just go right towards the hitter. Don't spin off. Sometimes gets in trouble when he kind of undercuts the delivery and spins off towards first.
That's hit out of play by Harper, who is shown with 2 strikes. He is a tough out. He's done that against St. Louis. That's really stood out, the fact that he's made the adjustments inside the at bat to stay alive.
That's a great attribute, especially for a 19-year-old, realizing that nothing good happens out of a strikeout. So put the ball in play. Shorten up your stroke. Just kind of punch the ball. You get a fat pitch and let it go.
1-2 the count.
And I was kind of thinking, with all the first inning trouble, maybe.
And a breaking ball that's lifted into center field. Jay makes the catch. Worth is tagging up from second to third. Throw is offline.
Jason Worth, for a big man, runs pretty well. And John Jay did go back on that ball and then tries to get his momentum coming forward. A lot of times you can stop runners from taking extra bases just by coming and preparing and looking like you're going to throw. But of course that Jay's throw was offline, and it was deep enough, that fly ball, that he should have advanced. I was thinking, you know, with the first inning trouble, maybe Lance Lynn needs to work more out of the stretch in the bullpen. Most of the time you're going to be throwing your pitches in a windup, but he finds himself very early pitching out of the stretch. Maybe he needs to concentrate more on throwing his pitches out of the stretch.
Infield is drawn in. First inning. Chance for Zimmerman. Those that have had issues in the past with first innings have done what you've talked about, working out of the stretch as they warm up in the bullpen. A lot of fastballs early on by Lance Lynn.
In my mind, I think that's always important for him to establish his fastball. Just make sure you keep it down. Up and in, he finds a hole in Zimmerman's swing. And the other thing is, when you get ahead, can you put him away?
1-2 the count. Lynn has piled up the strikeouts this season. Needs one here. Opponent's hitting .252 against him. 171 strikeouts this year. Only Wainwright better in that department at 184. 1-2 pitch. Outside, 2-2.
Decent breaking ball there.
Zimmerman, an outstanding talent, the third baseman for the Nationals, has had his issues with his shoulder and his throwing arm, but not at the plate. He has produced year in and year out. Ground ball to third, and Freeze makes the play, and on the other side, Craig does as well.
Real key right there. Ball hit sharply, but right at David Freeze, and Worth had to go back to third base. He would have been out if he tried to advance. Watch, David looks at him, and then he'll complete the throw. A sinker over there, but Alan Craig does a nice job with the soft hands to gather it in.
Adam LaRoche trying to become just the third player to record 100 RBIs in a season for the Nationals, to join his teammate Ryan Zimmerman, who did it 06, 09, Adam Dunn 09 and 10. And LaRoche is sitting at 99 this year. Adam saying that this has been his most enjoyable year in the big leagues. He's finally healthy. He had his shoulder worked on during the offseason. And he said it's a real good mix of the veterans, but the youth that we have, they've come in with their ears open, mouth shut. And LaRoche was talking about when he first came up, it was Chipper Jones and John Smoltz. Those two would hold court, and everybody else shut up and listen.
Still hear Bob Gibson saying rookies are to be seen, not to be heard.
I also found it interesting that LaRoche said not only are they learning, he said I'm learning a little bit from them too. He said it's good to have that youth and the jump around August, September. They've got that with their middle infield, Bryce Harper.
And most managers ideally would want all veterans. Got a little more of a track record, but there are advantages to having a few rookies, and part of it is that enthusiasm.
2-2. Inside, and the count runs full. Michael Morse is on deck. He had a grand slam last night.
Are you sure?
We think so. Swing and a miss. Strikeout for Lance Lynn. Gets out of the early jam in this game. After a half inning at Busch Stadium on this Sunday afternoon, there's no score on Fox Sports Midwest. Holiday, followed by Craig, Molina, and Freeze, Descalso, Cosma, and the pitcher Lance Lynn. The Gateway Athletic Conference Player of the Year, senior at Wentzville High School back in 2004. And that's Ross Detweiler, our Enterprise Bank and Trust starter, the lefty for the Nationals.
He was first-round draft pick, 6th overall, the 2007 first-year player draft. 10 wins from the rookie. A lot of fastballs you're going to see. One thing I noticed, Dan, is he is very tough on left-handed batters. They're only batting 161 against him. So a tough assignment for John Jay. John Jay and Descalso, the only two left-handed batters in the lineup.
John Jay did single last night off of Sean Burnett. They're very good lefty in their pen. See him late in games. Big for Lance Lynn to come out of that half inning scoreless as Jay looks at a strike, 1-1 on the season. He's at 304. And this year at Busch Stadium, John Jay hitting .387.
So these hitters are going to see a lot of fastballs, but he has great movement, very late movement on it, and they just don't center it well.
Big gap in right center field. Time is called. Mentioned that the Reds will be here tomorrow, and Dusty Baker officially will join the team tomorrow. Chris Spire has been the acting manager as Dusty's been out. Heart issue. How about that? You get to come back for the final 3 games and then the most pressurized portion of the schedule, postseason play. Dealing with a heart issue.
Irregular heartbeat and a mini stroke.
Chop to the left side, and Zimmerman steps, throws, and makes the play.
A lot of left-handers throw across their body, and Ross also does so. You can see the difference. He's 6'5", but he doesn't have the long stride that Lance Lynn has. See Lance Lynn's landing area there where it's all chewed up. And watch as he throws. It'll be to the right of that area. And throwing across his body.
Carlos Beltran, we talk about those pitchers, Al, that you hope would have a chance to be lined up with time off coming up if you can wrap it up before Tuesday or Wednesday. And Beltran would be the kind of guy that you'd love to see get a little rest. And here's the delivery of the lefty Ross Detweiler.
See where he lands right there. It's to the first base side of that area where Lance Lynn, and he's on the third base side of the rubber.
Here's a 2-1 pitch.
At times a pitcher will get on that third base side if you're left-handed to try and have a better angle and opportunity to throw the ball in. Throwing it away is easy.
Beltran walked 3 times Friday. 1-out walk here brings in Holiday. I think you could put Holiday's name among the group of veterans you'd like to get a little rest before Friday as well if you get there. Nationals defense, Morse, Harper, and Worth in the outfield. Zimmerman, Desmond, Espinosa, and LaRoche along the infield. Behind the plate, Kurt Suzuki. Nationals defense is brought to you by Dobbs. That's taken for a ball inside and low. Mention how Suzuki at times has been kind of boxing these fastballs that come into him. He's been dealing with a sore thumb on his catching hand. Has not looked comfortable whatsoever.
Obviously, it didn't affect his swing late last night.
Two 2-0. Detweiler is 6'5", 190 pounds. Lives here in town. And trying to pitch the Nationals to the Eastern Division crown this afternoon. Two balls and 1 strike. When they officially got a position in postseason play, there was a toast in the clubhouse, but no celebration. Davey Johnson said he wants to wait until they wrap up the East. Davey knows a thing or two about celebration, whether it be as a player or as a manager. He's done it a bunch. 2-2.
Taken 6 teams to the postseason as a manager, and then he was on some of those teams with Baltimore.
1966 and again in 70, those teams have won. One with the 1986 Mets as their manager.
I faced Davey when he was with the Atlanta Braves. As their second baseman one year, he hit 40+ home runs.
The 2-2. Holiday, a swing and a miss, and he strikes out. It's been quite the career for Davey Johnson, who is 40 games above 500 now as manager of the Nationals, going back to last year with the Mets, the pennant that he won in '86. He won with the Reds, Orioles, Dodgers, got them all into postseason play, and has done so again now with the Washington Nationals.
If his team didn't go to the postseason, he usually finished second. But 10-year hiatus from managing, and the oldest manager in the big leagues right now.
What do you think the advice Mike Matheny has heard most from guys in and out of the game?
It's a good question.
I'd be curious to know that.
I mean, I think one thing he's learned is you have a different relationship with the players than you did as a player. I remember it wasn't that long that Mike was a player, and even, you know, when he was kind of a tutoring catching coach or instructor, you know, he still could have a more likable or more friendly relationship. But as a manager,
slowly into the right side, and Craig is retired, and the Cardinals strand a runner. We'll talk more about that when we come back. Morse leads it off when we return. And ticket marketplace for the Cardinals, home or road. StubHub. Ross Detweiler did a nice job gathering himself and getting out of the inning. 1 strike and 7 pitches between Beltran and Holiday, and then got out of the inning very quickly. Ross Detweiler, also another former Missouri State Bears pitching product. Here's Michael Morse. 1 for 7. Morse with his home run trot down to perfection, as we saw last night.
And it was Yadier Molina that told him to pantomime the swing.
Yachty told him to fake the swing, huh?
Yeah.
For those of you that did see it last night, Morse hits a grand slam, had to be reviewed. There was actually a play which they tried to throw him out. Then they reviewed the play. It was a home run. He goes back to home plate without a bat and acts like he just hit one out of the park and then trotted the bases. On the outside corner, and a strikeout for Lance Lynn. So if you missed it, here it is last night. Morse, home run off of Loesch. Clearly it is. Got thrown back in. They say, all right, let's review it. It's a home run. But wait. Retrace your steps all the way back to home plate. All the runners did, and Morse just cranked one out. And he hits the grand slam.
Painful watching it again, with the bat or without the bat.
Here's Ian Desmond. We were talking about Mike Matheny, and I asked him about his relationship with guys that he played with or against that now he's managing. Carlos Beltran, Chris Carpenter, Yadier Molina. And very clearly he said, I'm not here to be their buddy. I am here to help them. But it's very much a relationship that a father would have with his son or his daughter, where you try to teach them, guide them, but sometimes you gotta get in their face and correct them.
And there's another strikeout, so 3 in a row for Lance Lynn. But Joe Torre was playing with the Cardinals and traded to the Mets, and then he became a player manager to finish out 1 year, and then he became the manager. Well, when he was fired by the Mets, they told him that he was too close to his players. Well, that's pretty tough to go from a player manager and a teammate of guys, and then you manage them. You know, it takes a little separation.
Easy play here for Lynn. He flips to first, and the switch hitter Espinosa retired. It'll be Yachty, Freeze, Descalso coming up. Yadier Molina leads it off here on this Sunday afternoon. Molina starts today, 4th in the National League in hitting at .320. I also asked Mike Matheny the other afternoon about how do you deal with criticism. And clearly, when you're the manager of the St. Louis Cardinals and you live here, you're going to hear all about criticism, the moves that you make or don't make. And I said, in particular with your family, how do they handle it? And he said, I warned them that the honeymoon was over in November. Just get ready for it because it's part of the job. But still, it can't be easy for family members. He's got a big family. His wife, you know, everybody's got a suggestion of how to manage the game or what to do.
No doubt about it.
His profile has skyrocketed again.
Think of how difficult it is to come in after the legendary Tony La Russa.
Exactly. Not have Albert Pujols following La Russa, team that won a championship a year ago. I'll say this, the expectations didn't change all that much. This is a very good team that he has.
He inherited a very good team, and if this team doesn't reach postseason, I think everyone will say it underachieved.
3-2 pitch.
One thing we know is Yadier Molina did not underachieve. Some people might have thought last year he reached his ceiling as an offensive player, and then he's come out with career highs in home runs and RBIs this season. And look at that batting average, .320, 4th best.
3-2 pitch, and he walked him. Second walk handed out by this lefty.
It's a ball, but by how much? Now, if you're a pitcher, you say that's right on the black. And the black should be called a strike.
Here is David Freese. He's at 296, 20 home runs and 79 RBIs. Mike also said, as far as some of the moves, he said, I'd love to be able to tell everybody about the information that we have that we don't release. Injuries. He said everybody can look at the numbers and dissect them how you want. Matchups. He said, but they're not privy to what's going on inside our clubhouse, which clearly is true. And he said you'd love to be able to tell the fans what's happening specifically with guys, but the competitive advantage, you can't release all that information. That is part of the job, dealing with the criticism of fans, media.
And Dan, I think it's just kind of like what we learned from Tony La Russa. If you saw something that was so unusual, you had to know that there was some information that we're not privy to, because they're both good baseball men, and they would have their #1 pinch hitter come up in this key situation. So you got to assume, well, maybe we don't know that he's sick. Maybe he's at the hospital. Maybe there's a family emergency. So before you insert foot in mouth, think about it.
Three and one the count here on David Freese. Short lead by Molina. Freese with a high fly ball down the right field line. Long way to go for Worth, and it's foul. And a catch made by a fan. We had our Up for Grabs segment earlier. Up for Grabs. If you're watching at Fox, take this in. Put it on the next one. It's up for grabs. He made the catch.
And not a Bartman moment.
Getting a stern talking to from Aaron down there. Controls the entire section.
When Aaron was younger, he would have made that play.
Aaron is the ball boy that.
There he is.
Very stern talking to it, that gentleman, that young fan. Aaron is all business down there. Look at that. You do not want to mess with that. (3-1) pitch. And that's a walk. So Detweiler with issue controls here in the first 2 innings. This season, part of our Toyota keys to the game. At home, he's 8-2. On the road, 2-5. And you wonder, Al, if this start is a little bit more of a pressure start for him, being back home in St. Louis with family and friends. Also, what's at stake for the Nationals, too.
You're definitely right. This is a little more pressure on him, but you have to really want that pressure. You have to rise to the occasion and say, I want to be on the mound the game that we clinch, and use it as motivation. He has allowed 3 base runners, all 3 on walks. And I mentioned left-handed batters are only batting .161 against him.
2 on, and here is Descalso. First pitch swinging, fouled back.
Dan, with me being gone for so long, I'll ask you this question because it appears to me that he's swinging the bat a lot better than his .225 season average.
You're right. I think part of it is comfort level of playing every day at one position and playing every day, period. Just the timing. He seems to be more comfortable in the box. He's more comfortable at second base or third or first even, which is what he played in the minor leagues at some points, than he is at short.
Getting a lot of playing time because of his glove, but now, as you say, he's starting to pick it up with the bat.
Strike 2. You see him driving the ball a little bit more too. It's not just rolling over and the ground balls, but you're seeing him drive the baseball. Daniel telling me the other day he's really developed a good relationship defensively up the middle with Pete Kozma, which is part of the equation as well.
It's one of the little intricacies that people really don't realize, but that is a big thing, having a new double play partner.
The 2-2. Chopper towards second. Oh, an error at second base. And the bases are loaded with nobody out. Taylor made potentially to be 4-6-3. And instead it turns out to be an error on Espinosa.
That's
his 13th.
Yeah, his 13th. They have a lot of errors in their infield. These guys are outstanding up the middle, the double play combination, and the mind was a little quicker than the hands.
How big could that be now with the bases loaded, and Detweiler with one pitch could have had 2 outs and maybe potentially out of the inning with the bottom of the lineup coming up. Instead, nobody out, and bases loaded here for Pete Kozma, who had 3 hits last night.
Very quickly, he's got 11 RBIs. 2 big ones last night. Get the Cardinals their first 2 runs.
You think about confidence and playing every day. That's what's happening right now with Pete Kozma as well as Descalso.
I talked to Pete a little bit on Friday, and he only hit 232 at AAA, but here sometimes it's a little easier. Better defense, but more strikes. Pitchers have better stuff, more command, but if you know their strike zone and you're disciplined, you're going to get a lot more strikes here, and of course luck is a big part of it too.
Big gap in left center, the 1-1. 1-2 the count. Let's see the reaction of Detweiler. He's not happy with his stuff right now, or maybe most importantly his location.
You have 1 player in front of you and 7 behind you, all trying to help out. And if you're walking batters, they can't do anything.
1-2 pitch. Fouled back by Cosman. A good rip. Did a dazzling play defensively last night. Hard hit ball deep in the hole that he stopped with a dive to his right, got up and made the play with a strong arm.
How many Cardinal fans thought that he was going to be a washout at #1 pick? And what we've seen here in September, everyone says, I want to see more.
First round pick out of high school in Oklahoma.
And yet the last couple of years, you would ask people in the organization, how's he doing? And they say, hey, he's making steady progress, getting better every year.
Take it high. And he's only 24.
That's it. Already 43 pitches thrown by the lefty.
This being his 6th professional season. Bases loaded, nobody out. And a 3-2 pitch to Cosma. Line drive down the right field line. It's fair. It gets down. Into the corner it goes. 2 runs will score. They'll wave into Scalzo. Throw to the plate. And he is out. But Cosma winds up at third. And the Cardinals grab an early lead. With Lance Lynn coming up, Oquendo pressing the issue.
Just think, if this ball is turned into a double play, it's a little bit different. But the bases are loaded, nobody out. Cosma shoots it down the right field line. It gets by Worth, drives in the first 2 runners. He's had 4 in less than RBIs in less than 24 hours. And now Lynn can help his cause.
Infield is drawn in. Outfield very shallow for Lance Lynn, who's hitting .063 this year. Does have 1 RBI. Espinosa, second baseman, toned for the air with this rocket to the plate. Look at that.
He loaded up there, gives it to Suzuki. He has plenty of time to prepare for whatever collision, or Scalzo was so out, he tried to do something and it didn't work. Not that sure that's exactly what he tried to do.
Time is called. 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1 out. Runner at third is Cosma. Lynn trying to put it in play. Already at 48 pitches for the lefty Detweiler. Lynn, a swing and a miss. He strikes out. And the second strikeout for Detweiler, and it's up to John Jay. Stay up to date on Mizzou football every week. It's This Week in Mizzou football and SEC Gridiron Live. Mizzou football will air tonight at 10. Gridiron Live Wednesdays on Fox Sports Midwest. Win over the University of Central Florida yesterday for Mizzou. Two outs, runner at third. Jay trying to bunt his way on and pushes it foul. Strike 1. Hitting close to 400 here at home in the way that he can go to left. Just assume see him swing the bat.
Well, we mentioned how tough Detweiler is against left-handed batters. I agree with you.
See the left fielder Michael Morse near the line and playing in. Here's the 0-1 pitch. That's strike 2.
We noted that last night that they played that left fielder fairly close to the left field line, and it paid off 2 or 3 times with a left-handed batter in last night's game. Worth in right field, well off the right field line, and our left fielder Morris playing much closer to the left field line than Worth and right.
0-2 pitch on its way. Jay, little floater, base hit out to left. Breaks his bat and comes through with a 2-out RBI to drive in Pete Kozma.
What you wanted, and John Jay must have heard you. Wasn't the prettiest of swings, but the result was outstanding. Drives in his 40th run. Fights it off, ball up out over the plate, and fights it off and uses an RBI, and the Cardinals have a 3-0 lead. Steve McCatty, the pitching coach, pays a little visit.
Milwaukee is trailing in their game 1-0, so they'll have to come back and hope that Washington comes back for them to have any hope to stay alive. Again, for Milwaukee, they have to win out, and the Cardinals lose every game.
Just a tie, right?
That's right.
Cardinals, really the smartest thing they can do is not look for any help from anybody else. Just take care of their own business.
I would imagine, though, it'd be awfully hard not to scoreboard watch to some extent.
Oh, you're definitely scoreboard watching. Dan, I used to watch the scoreboard and use it as motivation. I had to do my job in order to either keep us in first place or to get us to first place. Whenever you just kind of massage the reasoning and use it as a positive.
Swing and a miss. How about Pete Kozma? Kind of September that he has put together. 23 games now, 10 extra base hits. The big leagues for Pete Kozma, and he has almost matched that total of what he had down in the minor leagues.
He's got 13 RBIs and a .317 batting average.
Take that.
And as dazzling as he's been offensively, how about the play he made last night in the field?
Great play.
But he said he was fine defensively, but we never really saw it. We saw the arm strength. We also saw his range on that play.
0-2 pitch taken high by Beltran. Grew up idolizing Roberto Clemente, and again worth repeating, the 40th anniversary of Clemente's 3,000th hit is today.
You said last night you could finish most statements, so finish my statement on Clemente.
Without me, he wouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. And look at this. Launched out to deep left. Goodbye. Into the bullpen. It's a home run for Carlos Beltran. Number 31. He's driven in now 94, a 2-run shot. And the Cardinals have a lead of 5-0.
You were close, Dan. You wouldn't have 3,000 hits without my contribution. Beltran does deliver for many life. Very important, you know, Beltran, we got to get his timing back. You got to get Holiday swinging the bat well again. And just the fact that we noticed Carlos recently has been getting a lot of walks, that's the first step to seeing the ball well.
So 3 RBIs driven in with 2 outs in this inning, and here's Holiday. No activity in the bullpen for Washington. Walks come back to kill you, and that's what happened last night. Sam Freeman walked in the 10th, came around to score, and that broke the tie. And in this inning, 2 walks come around to score on the triple by Cosma.
Little off-speed pitch, add a little hump in it, and Beltran right there to deliver his 31st home run.
There's a look at the Mazda replay, and here's Craig, the 9th man to come to the plate. And now they start throwing in the bullpen for Washington. Detweiler, by the way, is due up second in the top of the 3rd.
4th walk, and not a good ratio at all. First time he's pitched in his home state, and right now it's more of a nightmare than what he had dreamt about.
This will be pitch number 45 of the inning. The Cardinals, when Lance Lynn gets a start, nearly 7 runs of support, so that trend continues thus far this afternoon.
I like the one when Lance Lynn allows no runs in the 1st inning. He's 11-2.
Chin-Ming Wong getting loose in the bullpen as Craig pops one foul. The air has come back to haunt Danny Espinosa, the second baseman, on a tailor-made 4-6-3 double play. And Craig hits it out to deep center, making the play on a line drive. Bryce Harper. 5 runs for the Cardinals in the bottom of the 2nd. Tony La Russa will be with us. Talk about his new book when we come back. And a big reason for that is because of former manager of the St. Louis Cardinals, Tony La Russa, who's back in town. And always good to see you, Tony. How are you?
Well, I'm feeling better. I was over there in the radio stuff, got 3 outs, 1, 2, 3, we score 5.
But I'd like to see that. That's a good thing.
I gave a shot to Jose. I said if it had been for Jose, I might have scored 7 or 8.
Now, would you give him any trouble for sending Descalso on that play?
No, I wouldn't then because I was in uniform. But now that I'm working for the commissioner, I make notes about. And I audit, and I'm definitely writing him up for that decision.
I'm sure he appreciates that. Tony La Russa is
and
with
he'll get
us.
back to him that I got on him, too. That's good.
Oh, that either for me or for anybody watching, you can guarantee that. Jose Oquendo, one of the best in the business. There's no doubt about that. Tony, you have a new book out. You were signing earlier today as Kurt Suzuki as the hitter. One Last Strike. And how has the book been going?
It's had a tremendous response, and I know you, for example, have really gotten the word out. I think as it's gotten out that we explain just how terrific our team was. That's really the emphasis there, and there's also a lot of historic references to where different ideas and different mentors have come, and it's being well received. And in fact, now people are staying in line for a couple hours. By the time they get it, they say, I read 100 pages. I'm really liking it.
I saw the crowds were lined up outside Busch Stadium to have a chance to meet you and get the book signed. And for folks that don't know about the book, tell us what this book is all about.
Number one reason to do it was that there was a fascination, and not just with Cardinal fans, but every place that I went, about the comeback, and then how we won as an underdog, and then as they knew more and more about our season, all the adversity we had to go through, then that ball foul?
Yeah, that's foul.
Okay.
We can definitely tell up here. I don't know how you can tell down there, but we definitely can tell up here.
So in trying to look back, the more I looked at it, the more I realized, there are things that you can point out that were the causes, and a lot had to do with just how tough our ball club was and how they refused to give in to anything, and makes for a really good story.
The 2-2 pitch by Lynn. That's a strikeout. He looks sharp here today. And that's 4 this afternoon for Lance Lynn. And let's take a look at Tony's resume. Career as a manager, 6 pennants, 3 World Series wins, 2 here in St. Louis, the other with Oakland, over 5,000 career wins, and 2,500 plus here with St. Louis, all-time winningest manager with the Cardinals.
I think they got that wrong, Dan.
Really?
It's 5,000 games. Not career wins.
I didn't see, I was just reading
you
it.
just read it.
I'm trying to figure out what's going on, but I'm glad that you're up here to correct us.
I work for the commissioner. I'm telling you, be careful.
I am careful, believe me.
No, you can't have 5,000 wins, all right? It's 2,000 something.
Well, you do have that, though. That's up on the wall. You'll take that. Now, Tony.
Now you're trying to embarrass me.
No. Do you miss it at all?
I don't miss the dugout at all. I miss, all the relationships that you build and have built and you go through the season with. I miss the competition, but I do not miss managing.
Are you sure you're being truthful?
No, there's no reason to kid anybody anymore, and I think I'm going to stay around because it's 2 strikeouts of the first 2 guys. The 2 innings that I've been in the booth, one or the other. So I think, Lance is very sharp today, but yeah, I do. I miss the competition, but I've had a great opportunity through the commissioner's office to see a lot of games, and I'm enjoying that.
Give me your evaluation of Mike and what he's done this year with the team. What do you think?
It's a learning experience. I mean, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, he'll be better than he is this year, but he's plenty good already. I know the players respond to him, which is the number one thing, and I know that it has not been an easy year because there have been a lot of adjustments that you have to make because of different guys getting hurt. But this is a very deep, talented, and I was just telling Mike Shannon, I would not want to play the Cardinals in the postseason because I think they're going to be very dangerous.
Stay with us. One Last Strike is available wherever books are sold. Tony La Russa, the future Hall of Famer, is with us here in the booth. 5,000 career games, the games with St. Louis, and the wins as well. You happier now, Tony? We're trying to give you the benefit of the doubt with the 5,000 wins.
Well, I think our fans would look at everything closely. Would have said, been disappointed if I hadn't corrected that.
As you reflect, and here is Yadier Molina. As you reflect on Game 6, which is truly one of the greatest games in the history of baseball, is there anything now that you look back on and probably didn't, digest at the time, but now you've had time to, that really stands out about Game 6 and what took place that special night?
Well, you just reminded about how shaky it started. We were not playing well. That's obvious. But the thing that struck me was the dugout was making so much noise, and this was, and I give particular credit, he's the best I've ever been around, Carp, who didn't pitch 6, he pitched 7. I mean, Carp is a very vocal dugout presence, and we did that every time times got tough in September and in October. The dugout would come alive, guys come off the field, and they would be encouraging. I mean, and more then it was like, we will not lose, we're going to do something, and it was just good to hear. And then they delivered it, and the more they delivered it, the more they believed it.
And here's a guy at the plate, Yadier Molina, and you're working for the commissioner and working for Major League Baseball. We saw that nasty collision that he had in Pittsburgh. What are your thoughts on guys like Posey that have been through this, and clearly Yadi's had that a couple of times now in his career? Do you think that a rule should be changed for that?
Well, we actually mentioned it with Posey last year, and right away there was some heated differences of opinion, so we dropped it, went on to other things. I know that we teach, because we've always had good catchers, and we had Pudge, and then we had Steinbach, and now we got Yadi, we had Mike. We always teach that the catcher gives the runner, a piece of the plate to go to, and then the only ball that you wonder if when the throw goes into the runner. So if our catcher is giving the guy a piece and he comes and wears him out, that's a cheap shot, and we don't tolerate that. Same thing with our runners. Your runner can get really, if you have a catcher with all this stuff and he really hurts your runner, the big thing is you don't want to lose players for the next several days or weeks. So the question that came up is, should you treat the catching position like the first base position? You just can't run into the guy unless it's unavoidable. And we never went anywhere with it. I hate to say that I'm in favor of it because I'm a wuss and not an old timer, but I know right now and for a long time when you get a player like as important and as good as Yadi, we need to enjoy, I'm talking about baseball, sure, and especially St. Louis, we need to enjoy Yadi Molina as long as he can play, and I would hate to see his career or anybody, Posey or any one of these players careers shortened. I would also hate to, if you're an average catcher, I just think it's an unequal rule, and I'm in favor of doing something to be more careful with it.
In the book, you dive into Game 6, and here's the hero from that night, David Freese, with his triple and the walk-off homer. Describe, Tony, about your scorecard and Game 6 and maybe some of the insight with that.
Well, it's in one of the appendixes. We put it in there, and you can see how I keep score. And this is the thing I learned, so when the game was over at night or the next morning, I could replay it. The thing about David, there was so much to talk about. He started out against Philadelphia, and he was struggling, striking out a lot. Then Mark made a very important, simple adjustment. And once David went and started going, he is a real quality winning player, championship player as he's proven. But one of my favorite moments of last year, Dan, was after the Milwaukee series when he got up and he got the MVP. And he graciously said, well, this thing could go to our bullpen. That is such a classic teammate sharing, and that's so much like David Freese that we're very fortunate. And that's why this team, they've got guys like David, they've got guys like Yadi. I mean, they're all over this roster. They have players that they're going to look they're going to be very tough to beat come October.
3-2 pitch to Freese. Take it low.
How about the patience these guys are showing today?
No question. And Detweiler is a St. Louis kid. I don't know if you knew that. He has walked now 5 in this ball game, and it's a 5-0 lead for St. Louis. You mentioned how dangerous St. Louis could be. Just break down some of the reasons for our fans. Why do you think the Cardinals could be dangerous if they get there?
Well, the number one thing is they have some experience. I mean, a lot of the guys are going to be taking the field. I mean, we expect it's going to be Friday in Atlanta. A lot of those players, great majority, are going to have last year's successful postseason experience, and that counts for a lot. I think their nature is not to be going there into the playoffs this year and say, hey, look at our ring and aren't we special? They're going to go out there hungry to win that first very dramatic playoff game and then go into the division series. So their attitude, their talent, their experience. And I was just reading a paper today about who should start that game. Well, then you start having conversations and you have choices.
Right.
That's a good sign. I mean, whoever Mike pitches, there's 2 or 3 or 4 other guys that you could have pitched, which means as you get into it, your rotation's deep. I mean, I like their chances.
Are you a fan of the second wild card?
Oh, absolutely. There's this.
There's a base hit to right for Descalso. Stopping at second, Freeze, and it's first and second with 1 down.
It came from our committee, Dan, and it's doing exactly what the first priority was. And I think it was Joe Torre that mentioned it. The team that wins the division does not earn a big enough advantage. And you need to give the division winner something more. So what's happening? All these teams like today, Baltimore, New York, right? They're trying as hard as they can to win the division. Not one's going to settle for one and take the wild card. So it really increases winning the division, and then the wild card team has to jump through another hoop. I think it's great.
Pitching change coming up. We'll tell you about that when we return. Tony La Russa, the future Hall of Famer, is with us here in the booth. It's 5-0 St. Louis. MyKiaSt.Louis.com and get the All-American Jack Combo at Jack in the Box. It's a no-nonsense burger with fries and a drink for only $4.99 plus tax at participating stores. Tony La Russa with a new book out, One Last Strike. His thoughts on 50-plus years of Major League Baseball, as well as a look back at, in particular, the run of the 2011 St. Louis Cardinals. Pete Kozma will face Chien-Ming Wang, former New York Yankee. He's dealt with shoulder injuries in his career. It's our Chevy call to the pen. And Tony, how about Pete Kozma? Sometimes you need a young player to step up down the stretch, and this guy has done that, hasn't he?
Well, it's what it takes when somebody like Cal, it's so important to this team, but it does create an opportunity for somebody else. And I know Mike has tried different combinations, but when Pete come up here and hit 300, played defensively like he is, and driving runs, I mean, that's a tremendous lift, and that'll be one reason that they're playing on Friday.
Your first season in St. Louis, 1996. Can you imagine all that you were able to accomplish now as you reflect back on how it all started and how it's now come to a conclusion?
One of the interesting parts of the book that I enjoyed working on. Holy smokes.
2 wild pitches by Chien-Ming Wang, and a run scores. That's Freeze, and it's 6-0. When
we ended up winning the last game and Atlanta lost, on Wednesday. Then Thursday we were off as an optional. Nobody really came to the park much. Then Friday we were going to Philadelphia. So, you know, I was convinced we were going to play a one-game playoff. So we're in, and I'm coming to the ballpark that day, and I'm really enjoying the moment. And the first thing that came to my mind, and I remembered to do it and put it in the book, I compared, because I knew it was my last season. I thought it was our first season, how difficult it was for that team to come together, and we finally did make the playoffs. And so in the book, look at this.
Cosmo with a liner out to left. Descalso will tag up. And that makes it a 7-run lead for St. Louis. Pete Cosmo with 3 RBIs.
So the difference between that very first year and 16 years later is dramatic. You know, it's like 180. A team that wasn't together that finally came together late, and that team that was together last year from the day one that helped us get through all that adversity. In between, I'd have never predicted in those first years that it'll last that long, but from about 2000 on, boy, we really had a good thing here, and the players really deserve the credit for doing it the right way.
Here's Lance Lynn, strike one. You always say tied for first. When I ever would ask you favorite player, favorite this, that, and the other, you reflect back. You have a favorite moment here in town for you?
Oh,
been through so much.
I mean, I have a bunch of them. I remember when we beat the Astros in 04, Game 7 against Clemens.
Right.
To finally win a National League championship. That was great. To win the World Series at home twice. You know, you win it at home, you get to see the fans enjoy it. But I will tell you one. I mean, I've got a bunch like that, but one before strike 3 here in a minute. Oh.
One out of play. It will.
One that happened the very first year, '96. We won the division. We opened the division series against San Diego, and it was home. So this was our first playoff game. You know, Dave Duncan's a very serious guy, and you know he's smart and he feels everything, but he's not emotional about it. And he nudged me as we did the national anthem. He says, "Check this out." It was the old ballpark with the oval, and you had 55,000 people, mostly in red. I mean, screaming at everything, and and he was right. I went, wow, you know, and this is Cardinal baseball. I had seen it coming to the World Series in '82, 5 and 7, but to experience it that way, I'll never forget that. And that's so typical what these fans do for this organization and what the support they give to the players that they feel. And it's like an extra adrenaline push every time you play here.
It's great. 2-2 the count, 2 outs and nobody on for Lance Lynn. There's your, well, maybe not. Thought it was called third strike.
I'm surprised he didn't swing at it.
Lance has had an outstanding season going back into the starting rotation, something he did in the minor leagues, and move that has proven to be a very good one for Mike Matheny. The 3-2 pitch puts it in play this time, and Zimmerman still with time to make the play. One Last Strike is the book. It's available wherever books are sold. And Tony, always a pleasure to see you.
Enjoy it, Dan, and 7-0. Looking really good for the home team.
Come on back next week too.
Right, thanks, Dan.
You got it. That's Tony La Russa. It's 7-0.
Pharmacy. So how about this one? Schnucks Pharmacy offers you the best value in town with their free generic oral antibiotics, free prescription prenatal vitamins, their $4 30-day generic prescriptions, and $10 90-day prescriptions. That's the best way to save at the pharmacy. Save time and money with one-stop shopping at Schnucks. And Schnucks Pharmacy, that's the Schnucks difference.
The Cardinals have opened up a 7-run lead here in St. Louis at Busch Stadium. That sea of red on this Sunday afternoon. Nice to visit with Tony La Russa. Again, the book is One Last Strike. Had the chance to read it, Al, and it's got some neat insight, in particular with game number 6.
You've already finished it?
I finished it.
Oh, good. Is Tony happy with it?
Very happy with it.
Good.
Very happy with it.
I don't have the opportunity most of the time to hear your interviews, so I have to ask you those redundant questions.
And he said he had never gone back and looked, and he didn't say this in this interview, but we were talking when we were in Los Angeles as Bryce Harper digs in. He had never gone back and looked at anything from 2006.
Hard to believe, isn't it? As thorough as he is.
Exactly. He said he hadn't seen much video on it, hadn't gone back and looked at the games. And I said, well, what made you do this one? He said, I had time. He said, after 2006, I was always thinking 2007 and what do we need to do to compete? Remember, after that season, they went out and signed Kip Wells, Adam Kennedy. So they're trying to fill some holes. And he said, this year I had the time to do it. I knew I was going to retire, which only a couple of people knew around September 1st, I guess it was last year, as Harper hits a high fly ball out to deep right. Beltran is back. He'll look up, and it's gone into the Cardinals bullpen. And for Bryce Harper, home run number 22. He went down to get that.
Speaking of redundant statements, how many times we talk about a left-handed hitter, you just down and in is right in his wheelhouse. She's dropped the bat head, the natural arc of their swing. And you can just see those wrists come through, and 22 home runs, 59 RBIs, and he's only 19 years of age.
Here's Ryan Zimmerman. Only the second base hit for Washington. Snaps a string. Of 9 in a row set down by Lance Lynn, in which those 9 outs, 5 were recorded via the strikeout.
Gave up the leadoff double to Jason Worth, and then he retired the next 9.
This has been a team, Washington, that's been outstanding on the road. 16 games above 500 coming into play today on the road. Cardinals got off to a slow start at home, but it's been much better. Finish up the year 17 games above 500.
What, 5 games below 500 on the road for the Redbirds?
They finish up 5 below. Cardinals are 7 below 500 against the East this year of the National League. 2-2 pitch. Caught our home plate umpire.
Spuccioni. Now Tim Conroy will come out and make sure our home plate umpire is all right. Foul ball right back into the mask, and watch the head jerk. Some umpires or catchers wear the mask very loosely. Others have it on there tight. But you can see he got the brunt of that foul tip. Says he's okay. My neck hurts just looking at that. closest thing to a whiplash.
Two and two. Chris Conroy out checking on Chris Guccione.
And there's also an umpire named Chris Conroy.
Outfield is straight away. And Lynn would love to pick up strikeout number 6.
No walks.
Foul back. Look at this Washington club, Al, and get the feeling that they are solid because of how balanced they are. Very good back into the bullpen. Starting rotation led by Gio Gonzalez now. Middle infield, we've talked about them. Got some power in the middle here with Ryan Zimmerman and LaRoche. Morse. A lot of balance with this team.
Nationals might have snuck up on some of the fans, but people that really watched the game knew that they had an outstanding pitching staff, and they had the potential to be a good defensive ball club and to be a very good offensive club. Had a lot of power throughout that order.
We saw them in spring. We really liked them.
Oh, you have to like their pitching.
And it's a strikeout of Zimmerman. Number 6.
Now it's close enough. A pitcher's pitch, and it goes Lance Lynn's way.
I thought that Washington would be in contention. I didn't think they'd run away with it like they did. I thought with the Phillies pitching, it would keep them in this, but they're now 17 games out to start a play today.
And we just always figured that they were going to be in postseason, and not this year.
No.
And that club's getting older too.
Happened in a hurry too.
Of course, Adam LaRoche made a big difference with this ball club.
His health.
Yes.
That shoulder being cleaned up. 0-2 the count. Lynn looks nasty today.
LaRoche only hit 172. Was not that much playing time because of being out with injuries, but notoriously slow starter, and he didn't have that typical start to the season either.
0-2 pitch. Up the middle and a base hit. MLB.TV. Take advantage of the low pricing that's available. MLB.TV. Michael Morse will be the hitter. He struck out his first time up. One thing that Lance Lynn has done is had his resume to try to be an 18-game winner today, to where if you advance in postseason play, he's an option. Where 3-4 weeks ago, he's coming out of the bullpen.
Just a breakthrough season when Lance Lynn, we all thought that he would be an integral part of the pitching staff, but no one could envision that he would have this type of start to this game and be in line for his 18th victory.
There is a strike at the knees to Morse, and we've talked about it that some of these calls have gone his way, but he's been around the plate just about every pitch.
And then that's the real key. We always talk about if you are throwing strikes, you establish in the mind of a home plate umpire that you got good command, you're going to get the borderline pitches. If you're throwing the ball like Detweiler did earlier in this game, you won't get any borderline pitches because he walked 5.
Two and two. Lance Lynn. And it's not just because of the sizable lead, but he has been pumping that fastball pitch after pitch. That time it's the breaking ball and a strikeout of Morse. I believe that is strike 3. Morse,
or he foul tip it,
is still around the plate.
Now he's told it's strike 3.
Yep. I'm not sure if he was doing what you're thinking, Al, that he's trying to sell this, or he just didn't know the count.
Probably a little bit of both.
7 strikeouts for Lance Lynn, and in steps Desmond. Mike Shannon's interview with the bullpen coach, Dyer Miller of the Cardinals, said, well, with just a big lead, you can't just pump it right down the middle and say, here you go. You've got to pitch. That's one of the things that they've talked about, as Jay is on the move, diving, and can't come up with it. Holiday, though, backing up. A run will score, and that makes it a 7-2 lead for St. Louis. The double for Desmond, and that's RBI number 73 to drive in LaRoche.
A great effort by John Jay, and with the hustle of Holiday to back it up, it was the right move. It's going to be a double at the very least. First ball hitting. Well, it looked like Miller at the end of the bat. See how close Jay was to catching it. He's been outstanding in the field this year. John Jay, trying to become only the 3rd Cardinal in Cardinal history to go through an entire season without an error. 3rd outfielder.
So 2 outs and a runner at second base. Here's Espinosa. He cranks one out to deep right, and all of a sudden we've got a ball game. Long home run. Number 17, a 2-run shot, and it's a 7-4 lead for St. Louis.
Young man right there made a nice play, barehanding that, reaching for it, but we wish we didn't have to talk about the 17th home run for Espinosa. He'd been struggling at the plate, but there's another pitch down and in, and just drops a bat head, and watch the fine defensive play. There he is. Look at him reaching out there and barehands it.
Ball was crushed.
And all of a sudden, Dan, you're right. Out there dealing 7-0, and they put up a 4 spot here in the 4th, and still batting.
Can't feel his hand, but he's got a souvenir.
Reach around Dad, barehanded with one hand.
Protected Dad, huh?
Yeah.
Here's Suzuki, was called out on strikes back in the 3rd. That's it out of play. And seeing now some aggressive swings early in the count against Lance Lynn.
What was Dyer saying, Dan?
You got to pitch with a big lead. Can't just throw it right down the middle. Expect good results at this level.
It is kind of a catch-22. You have a big lead, and everybody says, throw strikes. And yet, you do have to still pitch your game. In your mind, you've got to create a very tight scenario and go out there and just think you're pitching with 1-run lead.
In the dirt.
A couple pitches lately, you see Lance Lynn really falling and spinning off towards first base. You don't want him to do that. You want to keep driving towards home plate.
Another breaking ball. 2-2.
Wong, the on deck hitter, no activity in the bullpen, so make your pitches, but don't groove one.
Home runs allowed by Lance Lynn, down and in to a lefty. There's Bryce Harper. And then Espinosa. And now he hits a man. Suzuki. You hate to see Lance Lynn unravel with such a sizable lead, but right now, one swing of the bat, it's a one-run game. Tyrell in St. Louis, do you think the wild card play-in should be more than just one game? Tyrell in St. Louis, carsoup.com, email the booth.
Well, some people think it should be a 2 out of 3 series, but if you did that, you could be playing well into November this season, and so maybe not fair to have it just a one-game playoff, but yet the wild card has had too much of an advantage, so they're trying to even it up a little bit. What do you think, Dan?
Well, I'm with you. I think, though, it's good that at least there is a reward for winning your division and making the teams that are the wild cards. You know, if there is a deterrent having to play that one game and maybe waste your best starter, and I don't mean waste, but use him in that game. So
you got to win that game to get there, but I, for one, thought that in the past, a wild card had just too easy of a time of it. And you need to, penalize the wild card a little bit and give more emphasis to the teams that are the division title. And this year, it's really not fair, where the survivor of the wild card gets the first 2 home games.
Strikeout. He strikes out the side, and that's 8 this afternoon. Top of the lineup coming up. Let's head over to the studio. Pat Paris with the Bommarito Sports Update. All right, Pat, thanks. So the Braves are 4 back of Washington. Their elimination number for the division is at 1. We know that Atlanta does advance into postseason play. Fitting tribute for Chipper Jones, one of the all-time great players in the history of baseball, headed to the Hall of Fame. Don't forget, the Cardinals yearbook is out. Cardinals.com. And make sure you take a look at the top 25 moments in Cardinals World Series history. There are 112 moments, or rather 112 games, and they've looked at the top 25 moments World Series histories. Make sure that you take a look at Cardinals.com. Order right now, 345-9303 or Cardinals.com/publications. We have at the top of the lineup Jay Beltran and Holiday for St. Louis. All of a sudden, it's got a different feel to this game.
Sure does, and hopefully the Cardinals can answer and get a little padding again.
As John Jay takes a ball low, and we've talked about it an awful lot. And you brought it up, Al, rightfully so the other night. The inconsistency at times of the offense. Game 1 of this series, 9 runs the first 2 innings and then nothing. And today the Cardinals with 5 in the second, 2 in the third, and you hope they don't just shut it down.
Well, I think these Cardinal players know what's at stake, and if it's frustrating to us, you know it's frustrating to them. Preparation is always there.
Two balls and no strikes on John Jay. Had a 2-out RBI base hit in the second inning. Part of that 5-run inning. Also grounded out to third.
Long came in this game and had the wild pitch working for him, didn't he?
Yeah, 2 right back-to-back in a row. Scored freeze. Scalzo then advanced and scored on a sac fly. Sinker baller specialist Shin-Ming Wong. Had some very good years with the Yankees. And injuries hit. Washington decided to take a flyer on him. The 3-1 pitch. Leadoff walk. That has been a story for the Cardinals developing in this game. That's 6 walks they've been issued. There's Beltran, who has been walked, and also a 2-run homer back in the second.
Well, we talked about it where late in the ball game, walks just open the door, and even in the middle of the ball game, you know, as I said, you have one guy in front of you, 7 guys behind you trying to do their job to help you get through it. And when you walk people, they can't do anything but just sit there and watch.
Activity right now in the bullpen for Washington. Right-hander starts to throw. Saw him last night, Craig Stammen.
Steve McCaddy made his pitching fame mostly with Oakland. Wong had 2 seasons with the Yankees where he won 19 games each year. 2006 was 19-6. 2007, 19-7.
That's McCaddy there, and Rick Eckstein is their hitting coach, David's brother. Part of the staff for Davey Johnson. So here's Beltran with a runner at first. Leadoff walk to Jay to check on him.
Carlos hit his 31st home run his last time up. Love to see Carlos and Holiday get consistent.
Nationals will finish up at home with the Phillies. Cardinals get the Reds starting tomorrow night. Here's a look at that home run by Beltran into the bullpen of the Washington Nationals. Number 31, RBIs 93 and 94. Remember, he had a 6 RBI night earlier this season, so you never know, he might get to that century mark. Here's a 1-1 pitch.
That was Carlos's 9th home run from the right side of the plate.
Cardinals tomorrow with Jaime Garcia on the mound against Bronson Arroyo. And at Busch Stadium 3, Garcia, 38 starts, an ERA that's close to 2. That's how good he has been here at his home ballpark.
John Jay leads the ball club with his 19 steals. Had that look about him, maybe a little bit of a lean, as if he was going.
Big lead, and he's off and running, and Beltran cranks one out to deep right. Did he get enough? It's out of here! Head to the bullpen, and this time the St. Louis bullpen. His second two-run homer of the afternoon. It's 9-4 St. Louis.
Whether it's a Schnucks difference maker or what, but you need to get Beltran swinging like that, and Holiday.
They want the curtain call. Fourth time he's done it this year. Here's the 0-1 pitch to Matt Holliday. That has got to be deflating on the other side when you pick up 4 runs. They know it's at stake, a chance to celebrate potentially. You're back in the game, and then it's a walk, and boom, a home run.
Talking about all the time, shutdown inning, and there was no doubt about it, wasn't it? Right in the middle of the plate. Sorry, John Jay. He had a good jump. He gets a trot home. Except the 96 RBIs, Dan. I think he will get to the century mark.
We'll chopper up the middle, and out at first is Holiday, hustling down the line. A lot closer than maybe it should have been.
Has been laid back on that to get a better hop, and that allowed Holiday to get that much closer.
In steps Alan Craig, who is lined out to center and also grounded out to second.
Good news from the Dome. Rams defeat Seattle 19-13. Congratulations. Let's have a doubleheader win in St. Louis today.
That pitch is taken inside. One-0 to Alan Craig. I asked Tony if he was in favor of the second wild card, and he said yes. He's part of the team that advised Major League Baseball to put it together. The interest obviously is high for teams that are in it. Some wonder about the competitive nature of it, because every team by August, for the most part, you still feel you have a shot. So what happens at the trade deadline and the trickle-down effect of having the second wild card?
You got 30 teams, and now you have 10 that qualify for postseason.
Do you like it?
Sure do this year as a Cardinal fan.
We love it. Craig with a liner out to right. That drops in for a hit.
Hit night on Friday night. 6th hit on the homestand, and he can spray the ball around. Alan Craig has hit at every level and saving the best for the big leagues.
Here's Molina, who has walked and scored, also struck out. We've mentioned how these two teams could be meeting in postseason play. And the Nationals are getting a taste of just how explosive this lineup can be for St. Louis. They saw that on Friday night. They're seeing it here in the first 4 innings, already 9 runs put up.
Last inning, we saw how explosive the Nationals can be.
1-0 pitch. Fly ball into right. 2 away. And to this point, the Nationals, the head-to-head matchups, have the slight advantage against St. Louis. That may change in that win department.
Out of home runs for 6 games.
Isn't that the truth? There's David Freese. This ballpark is fair, and same thing could be said for Washington.
Yeah, and I think that we can't understate how important or how much of an edge the Cardinals will have with their postseason experience.
It's something that Tony mentioned, and that is a variable that a lot of people don't look at, but experience could be huge.
And Dan, you don't know about rookies, but you really don't even know about veteran players that have never been to the postseason.
Here's a 1-0 pitch to David Freese. Chopper that's hit to short. Flip to second for the force. Carlos Beltran gives the Cardinals a little bit more breathing room in this ball game. His second 2-run homer of the afternoon into the bullpen of the Cardinals. It's 9-4. Both have been 2-run shots, Subway Surprise on the line. And it's a look at that second wild card. LA 2 back of St. Louis. They'll play today hosting Colorado. As Pat mentioned, Milwaukee could be done. So Lynn is now given a 5-run lead. At one point it was a 7-run lead.
Must complete this inning to qualify for his 18th victory.
And remember, this is a pitcher that thought he would be fighting for a spot potentially in the bullpen. when the season began in spring training. I remember sitting down with him, and he was down in Jupiter, and before most of the team got there, and was rehabbing and working out, strengthening his side. And he said, boy, we're going to have great competition from the right side. What do you think about Sanchez at that time? Carpenter was healthy. Salas coming off leading the team in saves a year ago. You had Mott coming back. Kyle McClellan healthy. A lot of names that we forget. And here, the final week of this regular season, Lance Lynn, a chance to become an 18-game winner. Mizzou and Vanderbilt SEC matchup Saturday on Fox Sports Midwest. We'll have it for you. That's next weekend, Saturday at 6, Fox Sports Midwest. Vanderbilt and Mizzou.
Lance with 9 strikeouts, not walked a man. He did hit a batter in a very good ratio. 78 pitches, 56 strikes.
Here's Harper. Takes a ball low, 1-0. You look at Harper's swing. I'm not sure you'd call it very smooth and graceful of a lefty, almost a violent swing from a lefty. He's not there to get cheated at all.
No, he doesn't. Holds the hands fairly high. It's not what you would say a real pretty
Not at all.
swing that you see from so many left-handers. For a young man of 19 years of age, he's got a good idea of what he's doing at the plate.
He is, from the time he could pick up a bat, they said, getting the best of everybody, meaning he's a guy that everybody knows when he was playing, and he's done well against St. Louis, obviously, but it was their chance to shine against Bryce Harper. They had heard about him in high school, junior college, minor league, so he was seeing the best of everybody. A little something extra special for Bryce as he draws a walk.
I have a feeling, though, that his competitor's best was still no match for him.
No. As you mentioned, he does have a very good idea of what he's doing at the plate and how pitchers are adjusting to him and vice versa. Here's Zimmerman, who has been called out on strikes and also grounded out. Breaks his bat, and Freese avoids the bat and turns the double play. 5-4-3 on the double play, and we head to the 6th.
at regular price and get one for just 25 cents. That's 25-cent Big Macs on Friday, October 5th. Well, the Cardinals have the 9-4 lead. Not many hits in this game, but a lot of walks by the Washington starter, St. Louis, or Missouri native, Ross Detweiler. Wong came in the third inning, promptly allowed a couple of Detweiler's runs to score as he kind of wild pitched a couple guys around the bases. Scalzo's been right in the middle of things. He reached on an error his first time, and then he got a base hit and scored. And right on cue, pitch in the dirt.
Amazing, more people don't get hurt with those bats the way that they shatter.
But how about the concentration in Davey, because that bat, the barrel was coming right at him and over his head, but he was concentrated on the ball and started the double play.
7, 8, and 9 in the lineup. Nobody throwing in the Cardinals' pen. Chien-Ming Wong with pitch number 34 out of the pen. Relief of Detweiler, who was ineffective today. This is what you're talking about, Al.
Concentrating on the ball, and we don't see the bat, but there it is. If he didn't take a step towards second base, that bat would have got him.
Just watching that makes you wonder if he even saw the bat at all.
Probably did.
Or if he did, if he realized there was no chance it would hit him. But I'm with you. Probably didn't even realize it. 3-1 pitch to Daniel Descalso. 3-2.
Here from this angle, you're going to see what David sees, and he's concentrating down on the ground as that bat just flew. If he wouldn't have moved, that bat would have caught him.
3-2 pitch to Descalso. Fouled back.
I always say the ball will find you. The bat can find you too.
More times than not, it's a third baseman with those shattered bats that is having to avoid them.
Or fans in the stands.
Yeah. Descalso has reached on an error, a single, run scored. 3-2 pitch. High fly ball out to center. Harper is back and on the run, makes the catch.
Scalzo gives it a ride. All four of Daniel's home runs have been on the road. And Harper can feel the change of surface. You go back on a ball there, you feel you're running on grass. And then when he made the catch, the transfer to the warning track, and he really took that extra step and hit the center field wall pretty hard.
Shaking the right hand. Was slow to get back to his position in center. One out, nobody on. Here's Cosma. What a day for Pete. 3 RBIs. Has scored 2 runs.
317, 2 home runs, and 14 RBIs.
1 ball and 1 strike. Just joining us, the Cardinals with 5 runs. Home half of the second. They tacked on 2 more in the third, 2 in the fourth.
The call went out, I think, on August 30th. Cosma has got a 328 average, 2 home runs, and all 14 RBIs in September.
Tack on another base hit out to left.
21 for 62. 3 hits last night. And here he's 2 for 2 with a sac fly, 3 RBIs on the day. I think Jeff Luhnow is smiling, don't you?
Jeff, the one that drafted Pete Kozma, now working as the GM of Houston. Baltimore wins again. They beat Boston 6-3. Phillies a winner over Miami 4-1. Been a nightmare season for the Marlins. Cleveland over Kansas City 15-3.
Yankees have a 9-5 lead in the top of the 9th inning over Toronto.
LaRoche thought about going to second base, and Lance Lynn gets a bunt down.
His 10th sacrifice of the year, but good to see execution of a bunt. That has been a troublesome area, whether it's a pitcher or a position player trying to move a runner into scoring position. That's been a problem. He got it down nicely.
Pitching change upcoming for Davey Johnson. 2 outs, runner at second. We step aside. And Garcia. Bronson Arroyo, longtime Red, 12-9. Jaime Garcia is 6-7. Budweiser, what's on tap? Craig Stammen is into the ball game for Washington.
Appeared in last night's ball game. One of the top relievers in innings pitched out of the bullpen. Tied for 5th with 6 wins. Got 81 strikeouts out of the bullpen. That's tied for 10th in the National League. Pitched much better in relief than in the starting role.
John Jay is 1 for 2. 3-11 hitter with runners in scoring position. He delivered 2 outs earlier today. Fastball and a strike. The Nationals with the best winning percentage the National League since the All-Star break. They'll roll into the playoffs, one of the tougher teams to beat. Jay this afternoon, RBI single. That was in the second. Walked and scored in the fourth. Also grounded out to third. Pete Kozma stands at second base. High fly ball out to right. Catch is made as Kozma is stranded. 9-4 St. Louis. Major League Baseball postseason on Fox and TBS. The excitement begins October 5th. The wild card on TBS. Will we see more postseason magic from that man, David Freese? Got to get there first.
But 06 and last season proved to you that if you get there, anything can happen.
Strike to LaRoche. By the way, we should mention that before and after every postseason game, coverage on Fox Sports Midwest. Here's a fly ball lifted out to left field. Holiday is over. So, for the wild card play-in game this Friday, Cardinals get in. Make sure you tune in to Fox Sports Midwest for the pregame show. And all the postgame will have extended coverage of that postgame. Hear from Mike Matheny. The players will take you inside the clubhouse. Only place to go, local coverage, Fox Sports Midwest. And then for every playoff game, we will have post-game coverage right here on Fox Sports Midwest. So one out, and here is Michael Morse. Morse is 0 for 2. Lance Lynn has struck out 9 this afternoon.
Rosenthal is throwing in the Cardinal bullpen. Indication that could be Lance's final inning.
There's a liner down the right field line, and it's off the wall. Played perfectly by Beltran, and that's just a long single.
Beltran was in position, hoping that Morris would try to advance. You would think when you hit a ball off the wall like that, you'd have an extra base hit, but Carlos plays it perfectly. And right there gets the ball back in quickly and throws a strike right to second.
So 1 out base hit brings in Desmond as an RBI double and a run scored. He was called out on strikes back in the second inning. That'll get the activity in the bullpen. Cardinals will have Beltran, Holiday, Craig coming up, so a long ways to go to get to Lance Lynn as Trevor Rosenthal is throwing in the pen currently. One 0 pitch. What a weapon Rosenthal could be down the stretch here for the Cardinals in postseason.
And I like you're in the 6th inning, so you don't go to your 7th, 8th, and 9th inning, but I'd like to see the fact that Rosenthal finished this game. I'd rather have him come in the 7th, though.
Pitch count at 94 for Lance Lynn, so he will not finish this game, you wouldn't expect.
And they had Rosenthal up before the base hit. Just got to believe that this is Lance's final inning. Don't let him score anymore.
Dan Wilcutt, happy 55th birthday, enjoying the action today on Fox Sports Midwest. The 2-2 tied him up, all exploding in on the hands of this right-handed hitter.
Still throwing hard.
Dodgers trailing in their game early on. It's 1-0 in favor of San Francisco.
Houston making things difficult for Milwaukee. Houston is in the top of the 8th inning with a 7-0 lead over Milwaukee. That would eliminate them from postseason play.
I misspoke. It's the Dodgers and Rockies. And Dodgers trailing 1-0. They'll get San Francisco beginning tomorrow night. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Ian Desmond. And he's hit by that pitch.
Second batter that Lynn has hit this afternoon. And he may be the final pitch for Lance Lynn. May have just taken place.
So Rosenthal will come in when we come back, and the Cardinals leading this ball game 9-4. AT&T, the nation's largest 4G network. AT&T, rethink possible. By Ford, the official vehicles of the Cardinals. And by the state of Missouri Tobacco Quit Line. Call 1-800-QUIT NOW. On Rosenthal, 3 ERA, upside through the roof. He's hit triple digits. His future where it lies, bullpen maybe for a while, and then Espinosa with that long home run off of Lance Lynn back in the 4th inning. And he is also grounded out. 2 balls, no strikes, and 2 runners on.
One thing you have to learn, most of the time you're coming in with men on base. You have to throw strikes. Easy gas at 96.
Again, one of those guys that's not tall, but stocky, strong, can flat out bring it. Ground ball, broken back to the right side. Descalso only play to go to first. Runners advance to second and third.
Tell by Rosenthal's mechanics that he gets that velocity from his lower half. Really utilizes his legs.
Kurt Suzuki. Chad Tracy has moved to the on-deck circle. Be Stammen's spot if we get there. Suzuki, the other hitter that Lance Lynn hit with a pitch that was in the 4th. Been called out on strikes in the 3rd. There's strike 1 right down the middle at 97.
Suzuki had the game-winning hit in last night's ball game. Walked Espinosa to get to Suzuki, and people associated with the Nationals said you got to throw away the numbers. They said this kid has really delivered in the clutch.
When he was traded, he was leading American League catchers in fielding percentage, caught stealing, and here he lines out to right. Nice work by Trevor Rosenthal. Bottom of the 6th rolls in when we come back. 9-4 St. Louis. by the authority of the Cardinals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. Rowdy Lloyd from Murfreesboro Middle School is with us and taking in Cardinal baseball in his first ever game here at Busch Stadium.
No way.
Oh, yeah.
And he found himself in the booth already?
Found himself in the booth. Christian Garcia is the new pitcher.
Seeing him in this series.
So 9th career game with a home run from both sides of the plate for Carlos Beltran. How about a 3 home run day? Beltran with a fly ball on the first pitch, lifted to left, and Morse makes the catch. Dynamic pricing gave fans access to great deals throughout this season, and the final one is a chance to take in the Reds in style. All-inclusive tickets, all your beverages, all your food, for just $69 and a ticket to the game. $69. All-inclusive tickets at Cardinals.com. That's for all 3 games.
That was going to be my question. Which day? And it's all 3, huh?
All 3. As Holiday hits that out of play. Cardinals would love to think that maybe Beltran is back on track, but the other guy, as we've noted, Al, is Matt Holliday. He's been in a little bit of a funk, and you wonder if that's due to the sore back and elbow that was hit the other night.
I don't think it's any doubt. Your back is bothering you. Breathing becomes a problem. And we know he's a low ball hitter, and when you can't really bend over, it's obviously going to have an effect.
Here's the 0-2 pitch to Holiday. Strikes out for the second time. Nationals, it's another season of growth. This time it takes him into postseason play. They posted 3 straight seasons, winning 10 or more games than the year before. And there's a look at what we're talking about and just how much they have gotten better. Now, drafting first overall will help when you add Steven Strasburg and Bryce Harper, some of the top picks that they've had over the years, but they've chosen wisely.
And a lot of people consider that Strasburg was a once-in-a-generation pitcher and Bryce Harper a once-in-a-generation position player. And the same team gets both of them. Houston's hoping to do the same and have the same type of luck.
0-2 is the count. Signability over the years always an issue. Just ask the Pirates with their first round pick of this year, and it shouldn't be an issue anymore. You know what players are slotted.
Exactly.
Strikeout of Allen Craig. Nasty stuff from Garcia, and a quick inning of work. 7th inning rolls in when we come back. Al Rabaski, the Mad Hungarian, Fireman of the Year. In which season was that, Al?
75.
Mott has had a tremendous season this year.
Little difference. I tied for the league lead in saves back then, but it was only 22.
Is that right?
Yeah.
The specialization of the game has changed. Now it's Mahika, Boggs, and Mott if everything lines up according to plan for Mike Matheny in this ball game.
Also had 13 wins that year.
Espinosa will lead it off. Excuse me, Bernardina will lead things off, followed by Worth and then Harper. We saw Bernardina homer the other night. He's got very good speed, and Cardinals respect that. David Freese in on the grass down at third. First pitch is tapped foul for strike one, and here we go. Top of the seventh rolls in, 9-4 St. Louis.
Bernardina, the longest tenured national.
So he's seen some bad baseball, seen some pretty good baseball too.
He's one of two nationals left that was signed and drafted by the Expos. Desmond is the other.
Oh-2 pitch, splitter in the dirt. Mahika, when he's right, Al, has got a pretty good fastball, keeps you honest, he can spot it, but then that nasty split finger pitch.
And I must admit that at the trade deadline, when the Cardinals acquired Mahika, didn't really think much of it. But he has really solidified the bullpen.
Cosma to his left, one away.
Cardinals had Boggs and Mott going well in the 8th and 9th innings, but they didn't have anybody for the 7th. And it helps when you have sure-handed fielders, but look at the mechanics right there. Two hands, squares up to the ball, and by doing so, you put yourself in a good throwing position.
Jason Worth. Cardinals still plan on starting Garcia tomorrow. Carpenter against the Reds on Tuesday. Situation on Wednesday, though, remains fluid. It's another ground ball. Cosma. 2 away.
Another reason to pull for the Cardinals to win there, to get in there. Here Cosma goes the other way, and watch how just real nice and easy, straightens up, but he's in that position where he can throw right over the top, a little crow hop to get his feet in a line.
2 outs. Bryce Harper.
I'm going to say that I really do hope the Cardinals can wrap things up before Wednesday, and then maybe we see a Shelby Miller start.
Harper on the first pitch, in the air, down the left field line. Holiday over with just enough room to make the catch. 8 pitches in the inning, time to stretch. It's 9-4. any size drink. All day tomorrow, 50 cents. On the run at Mobile, Zach Duke, second time we've seen him in this series. His 7th appearance, .84 ERA and 10 2/3. Take that. 8 strikeouts to go along with 3 walks. The Cardinals have out hit Washington 7-6. Carlos Beltran, one of the stars today. Beltran with a pair of 2-run homers. Pete Kozma with 3 RBIs. 2 out hits have been a story as well. It's Molina, Freese, and Descalso. Beltran with those home runs coming from both sides of the plate. And the first pitch is taken for a ball.
Even though it's not a save situation, Mike Matheny wants this one. And he's going to go Mahika, Boggs, and Mott, it appears.
Taking nothing for chance there, is he? Going with the guys that have gotten him to this point in tight games. 2-0 pitch to Yachty. 1 away. Molina is hitless today. Here's David Freese. 2 walks, 2 runs scored.
Good to see David in the lineup, and usually when you see David get a couple walks, you know he's dialing in his eyesight and getting ready to start getting a little offensive binge going.
With Freese with the 2 runs scored at 70 this year, which is 3rd best on the team. Holiday leads the club at 94. Beltran at 82. Really a stat that is so important but yet overlooked. Runs scored.
Got 9 again here today.
One and 2.
They have 758 runs scored on the season, and usually you want to at least get to 800. 800, you know, you're going to have a good season.
First start for Freese in quite some time. Injured in Houston, taking a little extra batting practice, so this is his first start since Monday. Waves at it and strikes out. It was Rafael Furcal who was hurt against the Washington Nationals. Rafi saying before the game that he's been bored, wants to play. Tough to sit out watching his team make this run towards the postseason like they did a year ago. He said he still has trouble getting full extension of his right arm. The Cardinals have said they should know by the end of October as to whether or not he will need surgery. Recovery time would be around 6 to 8 months.
I was going to say, for a position player, it's not like a pitcher with, but it's still a sufficient period of time, and would miss some spring training and not all of it. He had the surgery on the elbow. Be the Tommy John surgery that he would need.
One-two pitch.
And he is under contract to the Cardinals again for call. But I would say the way Kozma has played, you've answered the question, do you need to go out and get a replacement? The answer would be no, you got it in-house.
Two and two. 2 down. Nobody on for Descalso. Literally millions of reasons as to why the Cardinals would want Furcal to be back next year. and healthy.
I'm trying to get this reference point. Millions dollars?
You bet. 2-2. Broken bat, base hit for Descalso into right.
Second hit of the game. Third time he's been on base. Back in the second inning, he reached base on an error by Espinosa on a double play ball, and it opened up the scoring for the Cardinals, and here he just muscles it.
I think, Al, what we've seen, though, is that you can't play for Kyle day in and day out next year.
Yeah, and I mean, you do have guys like Descalso that can play there.
Cosma now.
Cosma, but I mean, Cosma really, really solves a lot of problems if this is the real Cosma.
1-0 pitch.
I was talking to Pete on Friday about the fact that I have seen guys come up to the big leagues and actually have an easier time hitting at this level than in the minor leagues because of you see more strikes. Now, sure, the defense is that much better, and they learn how to book on you and how to pitch to you, but you're going to see more strikes.
I know the baseball adage is don't believe what you see in spring training or the final month, September. However, having said that, Dale Swaim was talking about this, the Cubs manager. He said, we've got teams that we're facing going into postseason play. They are going to throw their best. They're going to see their best lineups. Our pitching staff. I am going to take what I see out of September with some of these guys, and maybe that's the case here with Pete Cosma. This isn't a team that's 20 games out. This is a team that's looking to go to postseason.
Right. And Milwaukee's hopes of going to postseason are gone as they are shut out by the Astros today. So it's only two teams.
Cosma reaching for it, lines it into right, base hit. Descalso on his way to third, and in there safely. He was off of the pitch, and Pete Cosma doing it again. It's another 3-hit day for Pete.
He's up to 338 now with 3 more hits, and hit and run to perfection.
Shane Robinson will be a pinch hitter. Last time we saw him, he took one deep.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but now it's only the Cardinals and the Dodgers in the National League that have an opportunity to win that second wild card.
Correct. Robinson on the first pitch, a ground ball to short and a force play at second. The Cardinals strand 2. They have stranded 6 on the afternoon. 3-hit day for Pete Cosma. 9-4 St. Louis. for the second wild card spot. Let's take a look at our Nissan drives of the game. It's Carlos Beltran, not once but twice. Home run, 2-run shots from both sides of the plate. And just maybe he's getting back on track to what we saw earlier this year. The curtain call in our Nissan drives of the game.
There were times when I think Carlos was questioning why Mike Matheny took him out of the lineup. Well, Mike Matheny took him out of the lineup to get him straightened out. You know, there was the physical ailments, and then you feel better, but his timing was definitely off and looks so much better right now.
Here's Mitchell Boggs. Talks so much about trying to line up the rotation, as Boggs has had a tremendous season, 77th appearance. But it'd also be nice to give guys like Beltran, Holiday, Mojica, Boggs, Mott, those kind of players and pitchers a few days before that play-in wild card game. Rest them up 100%, or at least as close as they can get to it before that game. They have thrown a lot.
And they're going to throw a lot, those guys in the bullpen, if you get to postseason.
Nasty stuff from Boggs, who's really credited. Boggs has Derek Lilliquist, and those two were with each other in the minor leagues, and Derek obviously had him in the bullpen a year ago, but now his pitching coach can be a little bit more vocal about what he sees and what he wants, the suggestions that are given. There it is, strikeout for Boggs, and that's how we start the 8th. I guess, Al, it's kind of a fine line when you're the bench coach or hitting coach, bullpen coach. We all have opinions on how things should be done, but if you're the main man, buck stops there, so to speak, on decisions and approach and what you think.
But you know, it's real tough when you're the pitching coach and you're in the dugout to really cater to the guys in the bullpen. And that's why it's important to have another pitching coach down in the bullpen. And like Dave Duncan, you know, really pretty much turned over the relievers to Derek Lilliquist last year. And I'm sure Derek, who can talk to guys, he can work with them, but you just don't have the opportunity. So Dyer Miller is the key guy for the relievers.
1-0 pitch to LaRoche. 2 balls and no strikes.
Dyer's been around a long time and pays very close attention to the guys in the bullpen as well as the starters, but he can have an impact when they're warming up.
That impact is not only charting pitches, but Dyer will tell you they go over scouting reports, and you start really thinking, he says, about the 5th inning. Guys start to do that. They stretch, they start to get loose, really start to focus more on the game and what may happen. Try to be ahead of the situation, because then you look at the possible matchups that you may have down the road in that game.
When you are being used consistently like Mojica, Boggs, and Mott, they know their role, and in most cases it's going to be in the, you know, the 7th, 8th, and 9th with a lead. You can almost predict, as the flow of the game is, who you're going to face.
Three-2 pitch. In the air out to right. Beltran looks up, and it's off the wall. Ball is just jumping off the bat of LaRoche. Have you noticed that?
Yes.
Wow.
He's got 32 home runs, got 99 RBIs. He's hit 32 or hit 30 home runs before, and he's had 100 RBIs before, but never in the same season.
He's made outs. They've been hard outs. Now it's Morse. 1 out and a runner at second base. News from Dodger Stadium momentarily. Pat Paris will have that for us. Milwaukee officially eliminated. It's down to St. Louis and L.A.
And you like the driver's seat the Cardinals have.
Ground ball. Kozma backhands across the diamond. May have had a play at third base, but gets the sure out over at first. Let's check in with Pat Perez. So a huge double play there with the bases loaded. We'll keep an eye on that. And now it's Ian Desmond with 2 outs and a runner at third.
Desmond swinging at the fastball, but the problem was he got the slider. Desmond with 25 home runs. His double play partner Espinosa was 17.
And that's taken for a strike at 96. Back into games. The Cardinals really come at you with some power arms. Boggs, Mott, Rosenthal.
Talked about it with those power arms. You know, you can make an error in location and still get away with it.
Here's the 0-2 pitch. Got him. He waves at it. It's Jay Beltran Holiday coming up, our Schnucks difference maker today. The man that's due up second, Carlos Beltran, with a pair of 2-run homers. Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. Great weekend of sports. The Ryder Cup, Cardinals baseball, Rams win today. Zach Duke in his second inning of work. 9-4 St. Louis. 1 ball and 1 strike.
You know, Dan, when you prepare for spring training as a player, one of the things you think about is playing meaningful games in September and having games count the final week of the season. That's what it's all about. 162 games, all that time to get into postseason.
Jay rips it down the right field line. To the wall it goes, and John Jay trots into second base. Standing up, a leadoff double.
Multi-hit game for John Jay. Scored a couple runs already. Picked up his 40th RBI. You see, but look at Suzuki, the catcher, reaching. So he didn't want that location, and his eyes just riveted on the point of contact.
So Beltran currently at 96 RBIs. 2 for 3, pair of home runs today. He's also mixed in a walk.
A home run from each side of the plate. I mentioned earlier he had a 6 RBI game earlier this season. Do it again.
1-1 pitch. Beltran, that'll add to it. Base hit out to left. What a day for Carlos. He has driven in 5 as Jay scores. He's up to 97 with 3 games to go after this afternoon. It makes it 10-4.
You see him with the bat out in front, hands inside the ball, concentrate on that location. His 3rd hit of the game. Also been on base 4 times with a walk. Now you got to get Matt going.
Atlanta has defeated the Mets, so Cardinals hold on. No celebration in St. Louis for Washington.
You really don't want to see somebody else celebrate either, do you?
Nope. The 2-0 pitch.
Matt is 1 for 10 on the homestand, but we know he can get hot, carry a club.
I would think, too, as much as Washington wants to wrap it up, they go back home, and what a treat that would be for their fans to see them win the division at home.
Yeah, it was, what, since 1933? Last time a Washington-based club had gone to postseason.
Holiday, a high chopper towards third. Zimmerman, bare hands, and safe at first is Holiday.
3 straight hits. And this inning off a Duke. Joe Kelly is warming up for the Cardinals. Looks like Joe will get the 9th inning. Do or die play. Zimmerman, who's really been having trouble throwing, makes a fine play. That ball kind of bounced, and see how he had to reach it, catch it with a bare hand, and throw off balance. That's the play you're saying he can do, you know, where he doesn't have time to think about it. But we've seen some very awkward throws when it's a routine play by an outstanding, you know, third baseman in the past.
Gold Glove third baseman. Yeah. Runners at first and second. Nobody out. Craig with a single back in the 4th. Cold on strikes last time up. Liner into right. Catch made by Worth. Beltran back to the bag at second. In steps Yachty with 2 runners on. Espinosa, Suzuki, and the pitcher spot due up, looking ahead to the ninth for Washington. You know, Tony was saying that in our visit here earlier, how special it was to win and celebrate at home in front of the fans. And Washington, it looks like, will have that opportunity. Molina, the high fly ball into left center. Bryce Harper is over, makes the catch. And there's 2 outs.
Rockies have taken a 1-0 lead over the Dodgers still early in the 4th. You see Joe Kelly. He's got the 9th inning and another power arm for the Cardinals.
One ball and 1 strike on David Freese. Rockies with a lead of 1-0 over the Dodgers.
Can't count on anybody helping the Cardinals, but you sure will take the extra help.
One-two pitch. Freese puts it in play. Across the diamond. Cardinals strand 2. They've stranded 8 today. Kelly coming on when we come back. If you're wondering if it got to it, if Washington and Atlanta would happen to tie for the division championship, then they'd have to take a look at the head-to-head between those 2 teams to decide who would be the champion of the East Division.
If Atlanta won the last 3 games and Washington lost the last 3, they'd both end up with 96 wins. 66 losses. And there's also the possibility the Cardinals and the Dodgers could end up in a tie.
Well, here's Joe Kelly. Espinosa. Things would hold. The Cardinals win this ball game, and the Dodgers would lose. I mean, the wild card elimination would be down to 1. You could have the fate of postseason play in your hands tomorrow here at Busch Stadium with a win. Do you celebrate or not?
And remember, the Dodgers will play the last 3 games against the Giants.
Joe Kelly with Jim Hayes prior to the game, enjoying some pizza.
The first time I've ever seen food around Jim Hayes, and he's not eating it. He can eat, Dan.
We have seen him put on quite the display numerous times.
He would get his money's worth at a smorgasbord, wouldn't he?
Jim normally is sitting right now in the green seats, and there's a fly ball out to center. Catch made by Jay. Jim will be sprinting out onto the field to get that post-game interview.
Who will be his guest?
And that's a strike to Suzuki.
Intriguing to think where Joe Kelly's future will lie, the rotation or the bullpen.
That'll be a battle decided in spring of 2013, you'd have to say. Rosenthal, Kelly, Lynn. Who knows, maybe even Carlos Martinez.
Miller.
Shelby be in there as well. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Two is tapped out in front of the plate. Yachty's got it. Two outs. And we turn to our player of the game, Pete Kozma, 3 for 3. A double. Mixed in the RBIs as well. It's gone the other way. It's gone to left as well. That was early in this game. Been fun to watch. Pete Kozma, 3 RBIs. Budweiser player of the game, the Cardinal shortstop. Fastball and a strike to Chad Tracy. On the air tomorrow with the pregame show at 6:30 with the Reds in town.
A pretty good pinch hitter this season, Chad Tracy. 12 for 44.
On a hop, Cosma. Cardinals take 2 of 3.
Solid game for the Cardinals. Hit 10 runs, you had 12 hits. Lance Lynn wins his 18th ball game and knocked a spot off on the wild card number.
So the Cardinals are now 86 and 73. Wild card elimination number down to 2. Could be at 1 before night's through. 10